If you are a midlife woman or you're coming up on this powerful season of growth, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Unraveling Together. I'm Samantha Graber, also known as Dr. Sam, seasoned holistic health physician and woman in the midst of midlife's unraveling. Unraveling Together is a place we talk about the things we just don't talk about, but so desperately need to as women. Together we untangle ourselves from our pasts and weave a beautiful web for a future we so deeply desire to bring to life. Grab a cup of chai, water, tea, or joe, and let's get to it. Perimenopause and her 3 co-conspirators: your thoughts, your emotions, and your hormones. Perimenopause can come and go quietly, or it can hit like a tsunami, seemingly out of nowhere, and level our lives in its wake. Personally, I was blindsided by anxiety, soul-deep exhaustion, and brain fog that made me wonder if I was developing some sort of dementia when I was just a few years into peri. Now, I hadn't a clue that quote-unquote going through menopause could include these issues, and that this thing called perimenopause was even a thing until I nearly lost myself to it. All the medical tests came back normal, yet I felt anything but. As a result of my personal experience with perimenopause, I'll also call that peri, and the realization that peri is something we just don't talk about, I made a shift in my professional focus. We need to talk about perimenopause. This is a conversation that belongs in every room in which there are women, from the boardroom to the bedroom. Different conversations, mind you, but conversations that need ample space to breathe. I've always been a real food advocate, and after an on-again, off-again love affair with ketosis, I realized just how on I was when I prioritized metabolic flexibility through nutritional ketosis and intermittent fasting. What I didn't know, and therefore neglected to account for, was how timing my efforts in concert with my sex hormone shifts could have had a profound impact on my perimenopause experience. I was also ignorant as to how powerful aligning my thoughts was to the whole experience. Now, it wasn't until I went dark that I learned how integral it truly was. When memories of past traumatic experiences began bubbling back up and eventually took on the force of a geyser, I knew something needed to change, and fast. The emotions were adding gasoline to the fire already ablaze. I find that most who find their way to me are leaders. They opt for the proactive in lieu of the reactive approach when they have the option. Though most are good on their feet, they want to know what's coming down the pike when possible. No matter the space in which you lead, when leadership is on your radar, self-leadership must be incorporated into your day-to-day. It must be a non-negotiable. This is no more important than when it comes to our health and well-being during our perimenopausal phase of life and beyond. If you've just entered the perimenopausal waters or haven't even dipped in a toe, this is the time to make lifestyle changes that can move the needle in the direction of a profoundly positive effect. Even when menopause is in your rearview mirror, doing the things that optimize your metabolic machinery can greatly improve your quality of life for life. So are you the proactive or reactive type of gal? In other words, are you more the I see it coming and I want to be prepared type? Or is your mantra, I'll deal with it when it gets here? Here's why I'm asking. As mentioned, I honed in on perimenopause because I had an incredibly difficult time during the first few years of mine. Had I been prepared, I'd have fared much better than I did. When I dug into what was happening to me, I read story after story of women suffering in silence with debilitating levels of physical, psychological, and emotional pain that hit them during a similar time in their lives. I was flabbergasted at what I didn't know that I didn't know about perimenopause, and how there was a deafening shroud of silence surrounding the topic. There is a pretty wide knowledge gap to bridge when it comes to a woman's midlife experience. Our experiences are each unique, but one commonality amongst them is the fact that our metabolic health and our menopause experience are intimately interconnected. It was glaringly obvious that the longer I adhered to my strategy and the more dialed in my metabolism, the more evened out my perimenopause experience became. It all started to smooth out when I gained a better understanding of what was at work physically, mentally, and emotionally. I am confident that the better you understand what is at work during your perimenopause, the more ease you will have as you navigate this natural and powerful life transition. I focus on perimenopause because every woman goes through it, and peri brings with her three co-conspirators: our thoughts, our emotions, and our hormones. Perimenopause and our co-conspirators can be allies or bullies. The way we stack the deck in favor of one or the other is by leaning into it or by attempting to power through. Now, take my word on this. Peri pushes back, and hard. I strongly consider the proactive approach. I see our personal evolution as one long unraveling of our unconscious decisions made in childhood. This unraveling shifts to full throttle ahead when we reach our midlife phase. The unraveling is happening, and we need to decide whether we are team proactive or team reactive. We can go into any phase of life proactively with eyes wide open, knowing full well we have work to do as far as coming to grips with our past while grounding ourselves in the now and ultimately designing a future we want to bring to life. Or we can opt for the reactive approach to our unraveling, which could also be called the hope and pray way. In other words, we hope and pray our past doesn't catch up with us. We don't sit still long enough to actually feel our feelings in the now, and we keep living a life others have chosen for us while longing for a life we so desperately want to live. This option results from not making a choice and letting the chips fall where they may. Not the more empowering of the two options, but it is an option nonetheless. You can say the same for our health, our finances, our business trajectory, our relationships with others, and the one with ourselves. Unless one is comfortable with being uncomfortable, the fear of the unknown keeps many a good woman stuck. She's often locked in a tailspin that she gets rather used to, therefore she sucks it up and accepts that this is just the way it is. Here's why I believe we are more proactive in some areas of our lives and reactive in others. In my experience working with a multitude of diverse human beings and working through my own issues, it boils down to where you operate from or how you experience the world. This is revealed through our centers of intelligence. We each have a primary or dominant center of intelligence. Think of it like a default setting. We have a secondary center of intelligence as backup in a supporting role. Now, the balance between these two could be 50-50, but more than likely it is not. There's no accurate way to measure, but there is a way to better understand where we operate from, which I'll go over in a moment. To round it out, there is a third center of intelligence, and it may make some contribution, but it could be dormant altogether. These three centers of intelligence are the head center, the heart center, and the body center. Let's start at the top and work our way down. Those with the head center as their primary center of intelligence take in life through their thinking and generally respond based on what their minds are telling them to do. A head-centered person can be described as living in their head. The head-centered are strategy-focused. They seek security. Head-center driven people deal with anxiety or fear as their underlying issue. Some would call the underlying issue one's vice. Though each head-centered person has this underlying issue, they deal with their anxiety differently. Some fear the outside world and attempt to isolate physically and/or emotionally as a result. Others continually play out the worst-case scenarios game in their heads, concentrating their anxiety internally. The third subgroup of this primarily head-centered, they try to deny their anxiousness altogether. As a result, they perpetually attempt to keep their minds and bodies busy. Deny, defer, and deflect is their battle cry. Those with the heart center as their primary center of intelligence take in life through their feelings. Their heart leads them into action or inaction. They generally respond based on what their feelings are telling them to do. The heart-centered are image conscious. They seek attention. The heart-centered each deal with shame as their underlying heart center issue or their vice. Though each heart-centered person has this underlying issue, they deal with their shame rather differently. Some focus their feelings outward in hopes of not feeling their own shame. Others tend to deny their feelings as if going numb to them. They do this in hopes of resisting shame, while a third subgroup tends to focus their feelings inward in hopes of avoiding a deeper sense of shame. Now, those with the body center as their primary center of intelligence take in life through their instincts and generally respond based on what their intuition or instinct is telling them to do. The body-centered are concerned with justice. They seek autonomy. The body-centered deal with anger as their underlying issue. Though each body-centered person has this underlying issue, they deal with their anger in different ways. Some display their anger in an attempt to control it. Others tend to deny their anger. They want to keep the peace, so they often go numb to their own feelings. And yet another subset tends to repress their anger. In doing so, they harbor a deep desire for attaining perfection. As you can deduce from what I've shared, intelligence is not solely mental. It can also be deeply rooted wisdom. When we learn our own centers of intelligence hierarchy, we can corral our thoughts, our emotions, and our hormones, shifting our co-conspirators from bullies to allies. The ultimate goal when working with the centers of intelligence is to get all three online, then build into our skill set the ability to tap into the best combination for the job at hand. Where all three centers intersect, that is where we experience our proactive unraveling. This is where we get the most bang for our buck when it comes to self-examination. When we go about it in a disjointed or piecemeal fashion, we never truly get to the core of what is happening. This is why my clients hire me. I help them compress the learning curve and put what they learn into action faster and a lot cheaper than trying to go it alone. Everyone has access to all three centers of intelligence: the head, the heart, and the body. Some put more of the inner work in, and therefore enjoy a sense of inner peace, a synergy amongst the three centers. Anyone can experience this level of peace. Nobody is more qualified or more talented or any luckier than any other, and you do not need to hire someone for one-on-one coaching necessarily, when you are plugged into the right information channels. In the spirit of bringing out the best in each of my clients and myself, I developed a system to tap into all three centers of intelligence in an integrated way. When we observe our lives through a growth mindset lens, we are practicing what I call the know, feel, do methodology. In a nutshell, the know, feel, do methodology is a framework that helps you unravel your experiences, shed that which no longer serves you, lean into what does, and it allows you to pursue the missing pieces of your personal development puzzle. It takes the form of a trio of circles that, when overlapped as in a Venn diagram, they form an area in which you can hone into, then get to work. The know portion of the methodology has to do with the intelligence that resides in our heads, the thinking, the knowing, the understanding of it all, that type of intelligence. The feel portion of the methodology has to do with the intelligence residing in our hearts, the feeling, the emoting, the empathizing. Those are some of the qualities we house in our hearts. The third part of our trio is the do portion. This is the type of intelligence that resides in our bodies, in our gut, at our core. It is the intelligence we feel deep within. We just know it to be true. No matter where along the inner growth continuum you find yourself today, if you jive with my vibe, I invite you to look into the community of rebellious women I'm cultivating around me. You can check us out at www.unravelingtogether.com. Until next time, take good care of yourself and each other. Thank you for joining me on the Unraveling Together podcast. I'd love to turn this thing we've got into a dialogue. Follow me on LinkedIn at Dr. Sam Graber, where we can have conversations about all things midlife, perimenopause, and finding meaning through it all. If you want a deeper dive into exploring your midlife experience, consider joining the Unraveling Together community of rebellious midlife women. It is there that we roll up our sleeves and do the work. Unraveling Together is a resource hub, roadmap, and online coaching community curated by yours truly. We are navigating this time called midlife together, for we truly believe we are stronger together. And when unravelers are in need of an assist, they have all of us there alongside them.